Discover 7 miraculous psalms that transform your peace through faithful prayer for divine blessing. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, as turmoil engulfed the land, David stood upon the windswept hills of Bethlehem. A shepherd boy transformed into king, he wrestled with an unsettling reality. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting elongated shadows that danced over fields once filled with contented sheep under his care. Memories flooded his mind, the sweet strains of melodies sung to the Lord under the canopy of the stars, when his heart brimmed with unyielding faith. Yet, here, as king, a heaviness weighed upon his shoulders. Betrayal thrived among those he once trusted, and the enemy loomed ominously at the gates. In this moment, as the wind chilled his skin, David recalled the promise that nestled deep within his soul. With a firm resolve, he inhaled the crisp air and recited with fervor, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." The words wrapped around him like an old cloak, their familiarity infusing him with solace. He breathed in, feeling echoes of the tranquil pastures, where the gentle flow of still waters had once calmed his spirit. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. The serenity of those memories began to cascade over his troubled heart. Yet, the shadows of despair tugged at him. Visions of betrayal danced in his mind, and doubt threatened to darken his hope. In his vulnerability, he turned to Psalm 34, calling upon a reminder of God's unfailing goodness amidst adversity. "I will bless the Lord at all times, his praise shall continually be in my mouth." Thoughts of deliverance surged through him like a roaring river. Had not God stood at his side in the face of wild beasts, guiding his hand with strength? Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select All Notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. Returning to the hills that cradled his youth, David raised his gaze heavenward, the same hills that once offered safety in the quiet of night. "I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come?" His soul cried within him. Would he trust in the one who had never abandoned him, or let the trepidation of his new roles quench the light of faith in his heart? As he poured out his anxieties, feeling a divine stirring, an awareness enveloped him. The night's air thickened, each breath a whisper of hope. A different kind of battle was unfolding, one not fought with swords or shields, but in the recesses of his spirit. Could it be possible the Lord would transform his fears into peace, even amidst the tempest of uncertainty? With a heart laid bare, he turned to prayer, inviting the powerful presence of God to lead him. Would he allow prayer's transforming light to pierce through the darkest shadows, guiding him back to the promises cherished in the sacred Psalms? The wondrous unfolding of God's plan awaited, just beyond the horizon of this trial. As twilight deepened across the hills, David knelt upon the sun-warmed earth, worn yet steadfast, seeking the presence of the Almighty. Shadows flickered like whispers among the trees, as if all of creation awaited the words of a king humbled in prayer. He closed his eyes, breathing slowly, letting the weight of his kingship dissolve in the stillness of God's embrace. "O Lord, my rock and my fortress, I cry out to you in the depths of my despair," he murmured, recalling the voices of those he had loved and lost. "Lead me, protect me. For I am but flesh and blood, surrounded by foes who wish to see my fall." The ground beneath him seemed to pulse with the echoes of other prayers, desiring delivery from trouble. In a vision, the Lord appeared to David, the unmistakable heat of divine presence igniting his heart with courage. "David, I am with you, the battle is not yours. Stand firm, for I have set you apart to shepherd my people. As I delivered you in the face of Goliath, so I shall deliver you again." A shiver of holy anticipation raced through David's body, stirring his spirit as he recalled the confidence he had felt when he faced the giant with nothing but a sling and 5 stones. Strengthened, David began to rise, trusting that God would stand on his behalf. Yet uncertainty flickered within him, a fear he had not felt since his youth. Would those he had called friends betray him? Would his family turn their backs? Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, he proclaimed, his voice reverberating against the hills, polishing his resolve like metal in fire. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. He opened his heart, laying bare his challenges before the Lord. What will become of my lineage, Lord? How will the promise made to me flourish if my enemies rise, cloaked in scheming? Will the throne established become a stone upon my neck? In the silence, a soft breeze rustled through the leaves, and David sensed a profound peace unfurling within him. Hope intertwined with faith, he remembered the words of the psalmist, "The Lord will fight for you, and you have only to be silent," Exodus 14 verse 14. Inspired, he styled his prayer into lyrics, committed to memory, "I sought the Lord, and he answered me and delivered me from all my fears," Psalm 34 verse 4. As dawn beckoned on the horizon, the first glimmers of light cast away the shadows, reflecting the promise of new beginnings. The heavens unveiled a tapestry of golden rays, drenched in divine grace. David arose, invigorated by the assurance of God's eternal presence. Yet, even as he raised his voice in thanksgiving, whispers of conflict stirred at the edge of his consciousness. For even as the light of day emerged, bitter remnants of betrayal loomed closer. He knew that treachery would come disguised as counsel, patience would be rewarded with trial, and his kingdom would face challenges that tested its very foundations. And just as David prepared to descend the hillside, a stranger appeared upon the path, eyes stormy with urgency. "King David," he implored, breathless, "a message comes from the palace, urgent and most grave." What storm of fate awaited him as the gates of history swung wide once again, beckoning David toward his next divine appointment? The promise breathed anew just beyond the veil. With the urgency of the stranger's words filling the air, David's heart quickened. The weight of the message loomed heavy, he sensed the gravity of its meaning before the man even spoke further. The dread of uncertainty tiptoed along his spine, and he straightened himself, focusing intently on the messenger before him. "Speak, what news do you bring from the palace?" David demanded, his voice steady despite the tempest brewing in his heart. "The council is divided, my lord," the stranger replied, regret lacing every word. "Your son Absalom has gathered a following, and he has sought the throne for himself. The hearts of the people are drifting toward him. A conspiracy brews in the shadows, and Jerusalem teeters on the edge of conflict." The mood surrounding David shifted, transforming the once peaceful dawn into a turbulent sea. Instantly, memories of the boy he cherished stirred in his spirit, memories of Absalom's laughter, of the radiant auburn hair that everyone admired. Could it be that our bond has wilted so? David questioned inwardly, grappling with disbelief. Are these whispers true? Yet amidst his turmoil, David remembered the charge from God, the promise spoken over him. The path would not be easy. "What shall I do?" He spoke aloud, firm and resolute. "I must inquire of the Lord, his wisdom is greater than my own." Even as turmoil clouded his mind, David found clarity amidst the waves. He gathered his thoughts and earned courage from the depths of his soul. "Go, tell me more, what of the loyal men?" he asked the stranger, seeking hope in the maelstrom. "Some remain, my lord, loyal officers, but many are enticed by Absalom's charms. Ahithophel, once your trusted counselor, now stands beside him, guiding this insurrection with cunning craft." The stranger's eyes held a flicker of understanding, for he felt the ache of impending war. A tempest brewed within David as he considered these turnings of fate. Perhaps God was bringing about a test, a trial to grow his reliance on divine guidance far more than on mortal counsel. "My God, I sense your hand in this," David uttered softly, raising his mighty laments towards the heavens. He grabbed hold of his heart and shifted his gaze to the mountains, whispering words of psalms long etched in his soul, "Be my refuge, O Lord, draw me from these shadows." A new resolve burned within him as he pondered the trajectory of his life and reign. "Come, we ride to the palace," David declared to the stranger, a renewed sense of purpose igniting his steps. "Gather my men. If this battle must be faced, let it be undertaken in faith, trusting that the Lord will direct my course." As they hastened towards the city, uncertainty crackled in the air. Yet within the depths of David's spirit, he found the light of hope, clutching tightly to it amid darkness. The uprising would not be defined by fear, but rather by the unwavering faithfulness of the Almighty. As they journeyed, unyielding in their quest, echoes of ancient promises danced on David's lips, resonating against the very fabric of time. "The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear?" he intoned fervently, silencing the tempest that raged within. Little did he know, as his feet traversed the familiar pathways of Jerusalem with impending conflict on the horizon, layers of God's sovereign plan were weaving together, destined to unfold in ways he would never comprehend. And all the while, a darkened silhouette loomed at the edge of his kingdom, heralding a more profound mystery. Absalom was not the only one harboring ambitions that awaited the opportune moment to reveal their true nature. As dawn broke over Jerusalem, the city stood still, like a canvas drenched in hues of uncertainty. David, mounted on his steed, felt the weight of the world pressing upon his shoulders. His heart, once buoyant in the adoration of the Lord, now grappled with pangs of betrayal. He gazed into the distance, seeing the very walls that had echoed the songs of his victories now bristle with the tension of impending strife. "Gather my loyal men," David commanded with a fervor that belied his inner turmoil, "for the time has come to confront this disloyalty head-on. We must rally our forces and seek the guidance of the Lord of hosts." As his trusted commanders hastened to obey, David turned his heart towards the Lord in fervent prayer, lifting his voice to the heavens. "O Lord, you are my strength, show me the path I must take in this hour of trial. I beseech you, guide your servant, lest I fall into despair." The words of Psalm 18 welled within him, filling his spirit. "I will love you, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress." Each phrase sparked life, igniting a fire of hope. David remembered the many times he had called upon the Lord, the victories won not through his might, but through God's divine intervention. As he spoke, he felt the presence of the Almighty envelop him, a reminder of the promises made to him in his youth. He rose from his steed, commanding attention from his men as they gathered, eyeing him with a mix of fear and anticipation. "Listen, brethren. The Lord has been our refuge, and indeed he shall be our shield in this hour of need. Though a great calamity may approach, our trust in him will deliver us." A hush fell over the group as David's strong voice rang out like the sound of a trumpet. Yet, as his words hung in the air, doubt loomed, suspending their hearts in a restless silence. Behind them, the moment gripped by a shadow grew ever closer. The loyal members of David's household gathered, standing firm against the tide of rebellion, yet the specter of Absalom's ambition gnawed at their resolve. "Where is Joab?" David inquired, sensing the weight of battle brewing. Joab, the fierce and cunning warrior, was pivotal to his plan, a stalwart shield eager to protect the throne. The men exchanged glances, their apprehension palpable. "Here, my lord." Joab emerged, determination etched upon his brow. "What is your command in these dire times?" "We must move swiftly," David addressed Joab, his voice steady with purpose. "We will not yield to despair. Let us assemble our troops, and we shall emerge at the gates of the city. I sense the Lord's favor is upon us still, for he has not abandoned his promises." With resolve ignited within them, they surged forward, urgency marking each step. The city loomed ever closer, the familiar streets now felt estranged, shrouded in the dark mystery of rebellion. Yet as David forged ahead, he paused once more, his heart thundering within. "What of Ahithophel?" he whispered, the weight of betrayal underscoring his question. The name echoed in the vastness of his heart, a reminder that even the wise could walk in folly when lured by ambition. "Ahithophel stands with Absalom," Joab said, the bitterness of the truth piercing the moment. "His counsel has become treacherous." Pain surged through David's heart, recognizing the ramifications of betrayal from one who once guided him with wisdom. "But we shall seek counsel from the Lord," David declared, his faith unwavering. "For even in the face of treachery, our God reigns sovereign. He will turn evil into good, for the sake of his covenant. As they arrived at the gates of the city, the heart of Jerusalem lay before them, bearing witness to the tides of conflict. Yet unbeknownst to David, a deeper mystery was yet to unfold, veiled in the wings of heaven. A sovereign plan, intricately woven, lay in wait to reveal the fullness of God's purpose in this great trial, beckoning David to lean with unshakable faith. Indeed, the path ahead would be daunting, yet it was leading toward the divine resolution ordained long before the foundations of the world. One that would echo through generations yet to come. As the sun rose higher, casting shadows across the city, David and his men stood at the gates, uncertainty hanging like a dense fog. The air was heavy with the scent of conflict, while whispers of treachery danced upon the lips of the people. Yet, amidst the turmoil, David's heart remained steadfast in its declaration of faith. "Let us not falter," he addressed his warriors, a fervent glint in his eyes. "For the Lord our God is with us. Recall the victories our ancestors beheld. When the walls of Jericho fell and the waters of the Jordan parted, it was through unwavering trust in the Lord of hosts. Arm yourselves with that remembrance." In their hearts, the men began to kindle aflame a sacred fire sparked by hope. As swords were drawn and shields raised, David prayed once more. "O Lord, may these instruments of war serve not for despair but for your glory. Direct our paths, guide our hands that we may execute justice and uphold righteousness." Suddenly, a stirring among the onlookers caught David's eye. He saw Ahithophel, cloaked in shadows, watching from a distance, encircled by those loyal to Absalom. The sight of the once wise counselor brought a pang of sorrow to David's heart. "Even the wisdom of men can lead astray when not anchored in your truth, O Lord," he murmured. "Shall I gather our forces now?" Joab asked, his voice piercing the moment as silence. David nodded thoughtfully, considering his next steps. "We must act, but let us first seek the Lord's will in this matter. Gather up the priests and let us inquire of the Lord through the Urim and the Thummim." As the priests were summoned, the hearts of the loyal men trembled with anticipation. They understood the weight of such intercession. The freedom of not only their lives but of Israel hinged upon this crucial moment. David, knees trembling yet unwavering, fell before the altar. "O God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, hear my plea. If you shall go with us, we shall deal with this rebellion in your strength." The priests brought forth the sacred stones, his inquiry alighting a holy silence as they cast lots before the Lord. The result would determine whether to advance into battle or retreat. All eyes were fixed upon David, whose anxiety mirrored that of his men. The air crackled with expectancy, and then, a divine whisper surged through the hearts of the assembly. "It is so," the high priest declared, the light of revelation resting heavily upon him. "The Lord commands you to proceed. He shall deliver Absalom unto your hand." Hope surged like a mighty river through David's veins. It is enough, the Lord's voice has spoken. With renewed vigor, he emboldened his men. "We march for Judah. We reclaim what is ours in the name of the Lord who reigns," he proclaimed, his voice echoing through the gates of Jerusalem like the sound of a clarion call. As they steeled themselves for the coming conflict, a flame of righteous indignation ignited within David. He lifted his voice once more, "Who shall stand against us if God be for us? We are his chosen, and the battle belongs to the Lord." Yet as they prepared to head into the fray, a foreboding thought crept into David's consciousness. What sorts of trials lay ahead unraveled in this unfolding plan? Questions lingered, casting uncertainty even amid his resolute faith. Perhaps, like Job, his fidelity would be tested not only by betrayal born of blood but by the silence that followed victory. Unbeknownst to David, a providence greater still was at work, intricately guiding pathways woven since the beginning of time, awaiting yet another unfolding revelation of his glory, one that would not only define a king but a nation and generations to come. What divine purpose awaited revelation amidst the chaos of rebellion? As the sound of trumpets pierced the morning air, King David and his men began their march, the rhythm of their footsteps harmonizing with the heartbeat of their intent. Each warrior bore the weight of his shield and sword, yet it was their faith that held the greatest burden. As they advanced, the sun revealed the dusty path leading toward the valleys of Judah, where enemies awaited. "Stay close," David commanded, his voice resolute against the rising wind. "We are not merely soldiers, we are the Lord's instruments. Let not fear overtake you." David recalled the words of the psalmist, "Though a host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear, though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident." Psalm 27 verse 3. As they descended the rugged terrain, a messenger dashed to David, breathless and fraught with urgency. "My lord, the enemy gathers at Mahanaim, and their number is as the sand by the sea." David's heart raced, for the odds were daunting. Yet he knew that with God, circumstances did not dictate the outcome of battles. "We shall divide our forces," David proclaimed, a plan taking shape in his mind. "Let one half go under Joab's command and the other under Abishai. For if they prevail against me, you shall come and assist." The warriors affirmed their king's resolve, their voices rising in unison, "We will follow you." Indeed, unity in purpose invigorated their spirits. As David prepared for the encounter, he sought again the Lord's counsel through prayer, drawing strength from the ancient words, "In God I will praise his word, in the Lord I will praise his word." Psalm 56 verse 10. His heart longed not only to reclaim his throne but to restore the wounded hearts of a people torn by division. When the sun reached its zenith, David's forces approached the edges of Mahanaim, where Absalom's army had gathered like dark clouds ready to pour wrath upon the earth. A dread swept over David's men as they surveyed the multitude. Yet, amidst this foreboding sight, David lifted his gaze, seeking the heavens. "O Lord, grant us courage and victory this day, let your glory be revealed." With swords drawn and spirits bolstered, the two opposing forces collided, the sound of clashing steel mingling with cries of valiance. In the heat of battle, Joab, fierce and unwavering, fought his way toward Absalom, fueled by righteous indignation. As fate would have it, it was in this moment of chaos when David's heart cried out, my son, Absalom! If only I had died in your place." 2 Samuel 18 verse 33. The battle raged fiercely, but as the skies began to darken, shadows fell upon Absalom, now cornered in the thicket of the wood. A solitary rider approached David. "It is done, my king. Absalom is fallen." The weight of grief pierced David's heart as he wept, sinking to his knees. "O my son Absalom! Would God I had died for thee, O Absalom, my son, my son." Sorrow intertwined with victory, revealing the duality of a king's heart, his love for family matching the loyalty of his men. Yet as the cries of despair filled the air, a stirring of divine purpose echoed within the heavens. What unknown journey lay ahead for David and the nation of Israel? What was the cost of the triumph they had sought? For even in this moment of sorrow, God's everlasting plan drooled with promise. The lineage of David awaited its greatest revelation, woven into the very fabric of history, preparing to usher in redemption that spanned eternity. And it was upon the hills of Mahanaim, where the echoes of battle lingered, that King David arose, yet his heart was heavy as a yoke upon his shoulders. The sun cast its final rays upon a land stained with conflict and tears. As he made his way back from the front lines, the whispers of his people drew near, their eyes filled with a sorrow that mirrored his own. "Behold, my king," called Ahimelech, a priest of the Lord, breaking the silence of mourning. "Your beloved son has fallen, yet the Lord has preserved your life and the lives of your men. Lift your head, for he who sits enthroned in the heavens remains your refuge." David turned, his grief an anchor in his soul, and spoke with trembling lips, "O Lord, how can I lead a people devastated by such loss? My heart is crushed, my son is gone, and I am left as a king without a kingdom." The presence of the priest shone like a beacon amidst the darkness. "Remember the covenant of the Lord with your forefathers. Be of good courage, his promises endure beyond the shadow of death. For within your sorrow lies the key to healing, both for you and for Israel." As shadows lengthened across the fields, David called for the Psalms, the very words that had carried him through many a trial. "Gather the people, that we may lift our voices to the God who hears, he commanded. For in the midst of despair, we shall declare his steadfast love. And so, the people of Israel drew near, hearts heavy but ears attentive. They sang with David, "The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life, of whom shall I be afraid?" Psalm 27 verse 1. Yet even as they sang, the whispers of conflict surrounded them still, for Absalom's death did not cease the threats against the throne. An ache of uncertainty seized the hearts of the people. Would they follow a king burdened with such deep grief? Brothers, David cried, though my heart is rent in two, we must remember that the battle belongs to the Lord. Our enemies gather still, and we shall not falter. Rise now and take heart, for this is our time to seek the Lord together. With David's resolve igniting a fire in their hearts, they lifted their voices, uniting in prayer and supplication, "Restore us, O Lord, and revive us again. For you alone are our deliverer." In the midst of this fervent calling, Joab approached, battle-worn but undaunted. "My king, many still whisper of division and fear, yet you are our leader, let us return to our posts. The enemy lurks, seeking any weakness among us." David, sensing the urgency of Joab's words, raised his head. "You speak true. We must learn from the fall of Absalom, division rends us. Together, we shall rise as one in strength and purpose. For we are not just a people of war, but the chosen offspring of the Most High." And as clouds gathered once more, heavy with unknown storms, there was a stirring in the hearts of the Israelites. Hope flickered as they recalled the covenant of their God, establishing a lineage through David that would carry forth even amidst despair. In that moment, a revelation pierced the darkness. A whisper of promise rested upon the air, for it was not the end, but a beginning yet unseen. Will you stand firm as one, knowing your king strives, not solely for the throne of Israel, but for the restoration of the heart? Thus, in that ancient land stirred by divine intervention, the echo of David's lament would soon transform into a declaration of faith that challenged the very essence of their trials, weaving their stories into a greater tapestry, a promise that the foundations of their hope shall pave the way for a king who would come to fulfill the very heart of God. What covenantal truths would emerge as they pressed forward? What revelation awaited to be unveiled within the tapestry of their shared destiny? For even in the heart of sorrow, the seeds of redemption lay ready to blossom. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue upon the land, the people gathered before King David, still enveloped in mourning for Absalom. Their voices, once filled with the sounds of jubilation, now quivered with uncertainty. David stood amid them, a figure clad in sorrow, yet resolute in purpose. He sought the heart of the Lord, yearning for strength to guide his people through the valley of despair. "Hold fast, my brothers and sisters," David called, each word weighted with conviction. "Though shadows loom and the weight of loss presses heavily upon us, the Lord is with us. Let us recite the decrees of our God, standing firm in our faith, for his arm is not short that it cannot save." With the help of Ahimelech, the priest, David began to recall the words of the Psalms that had been his refuge in times of trouble, invoking sacred memories of divine intervention. "The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world, and they that dwell therein." Psalm 24 verse 1. The people's spirits ignited a flicker of hope as they harmonized their voices. Yet amidst this chorus of faith, a shadow loomed. A messenger, weary but fraught with urgency, broke through the assembly. "My king!" he shouted, breathless with the weight of tidings. "Word has come from the tribes of Israel. They gather near Hebron, seeking a leader among them, a leader who would not be swayed by death and turmoil." The air grew tense, and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some voices trembled, fearing division once more, while others felt a stirring of courage. David raised his hand, silencing the disquiet. "What say you, O Israel? Shall we forsake our unity for gain, or shall we trust in the one who has called us?" A profound stillness enveloped them as they contemplated the word of the Lord, echoing in their hearts. "Our hope is not in earthly rulers but in the King of Kings. Let us not be moved by the schemes of men, for the Lord will preserve his covenant with us." As David spoke, Joab stepped forward with renewed fervor, sensing the righteous anger that stirred within his king. "Let us arise, O Israel. We have bled for our land, let not the blood of Absalom be a harbinger of division. Our strength lies not merely in a throne, but in our bond as a people set apart for God's purpose." Renewed, the Israelites pledged their hearts to David, a king who bore sorrow yet sought the welfare of his people. "Though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we will fear no evil," they declared, their voices uniting like a mighty chorus, echoing the depths of Psalm 23. In that moment of unity, a divine presence enveloped them. The hearts of the people entwined, forming a bond stronger than the tumultuous winds that threatened their preservation. Yet as the embers of their resolve glowed brighter, a deeper mystery lingered on the horizon. What will become of those who rise against us? Could it be that God has in mind a greater promise, one that transcends our understanding? For amidst this turmoil, the Lord shapes history and directs our paths, a tapestry of grace woven with threads of trial and faith. In this year of restoration, what greater plan does the Lord whisper to the hearts of his chosen? What mysteries await in the unfolding destiny of Israel, tied to the lineage through David? For even now, within the echoes of their united voices, the threads of hope and redemption weave ever closer into the fabric of God's sovereign plan. As the dawn broke over the hills of Judah, its rays illuminated the faces of the gathered assembly. King David, held fast in his sorrow yet bolstered by the spirit of the people, rose once more to address his beloved Israel. "Brothers and sisters," he began, his voice carrying the weight of both grief and hope, "the sun arises upon us, a symbol of the Lord's steadfast love, which endures through every generation." And thus, a wave of murmurs swept through the crowd as hearts began to stir anew. Listen. We are called to be a kingdom, a people set apart. In this hour of trial, let us not recount our losses but rather pour forth our praises to him who delivers. For did he not save our forefathers from the bondage of Egypt? Is he not the same God who parted the seas, allowing them to walk through on dry ground? David's words ignited a fire within them, igniting memories of past victories under God's mighty hand. And Ahimelech, the priest, seized this divine moment. "Let us not forget the sacred song of our hearts," he proclaimed. "For it is in our worship that we find strength to rise. Let us lift to the heavens Psalm 30, for in our mourning, he turns our weeping into dancing." Together, they began to sing, "O Lord my God, I cried unto thee, and thou hast healed me," and the harmony enveloped the air like incense rising before the Almighty. But as their praises soared, word quickly spread through the crowd of an emissary that approached, dust upon his feet and urgency in his stride. "Hasten, my king," he called, entering the midst of the gathered, for the tribes beyond the Jordan converge, stirred by the loss of Absalom, yet intuitive of God's direction. They cry out for a leader unbroken by adversity, one who will give them hope. At these words, the hearts of the people trembled between hope and despair. Will we allow them to withdraw in their quest for stability? Joab asked passionately. Or shall we demonstrate that our strength thrives in unity, guided by the hand of our Lord? David, sensing the weight of the moment, gathered the heads of the tribes and spoke with a voice as deep as the chambers of the heart. "The Lord is with us. We will not cast aside each other for fear of the unknown, nor shall we doubt our covenant with him who has never forsaken us." And as they deliberated, the voice of the Lord broke through the assembly. "Fear not, for I am with you. I will strengthen you, yea, I will help you, I will uphold you with the right hand of my righteousness." Isaiah 41 verse 10. Hope surged as the people took heart. Then, a silence fell upon them, pregnant with anticipation. As David raised his hands to heaven, the breath of intercession filled the air. "Father," he beseeched, "grant us wisdom and discernment. Who am I, that you have brought me thus far? Reveal to us the path you have laid for Israel." As the crowd knelt, beseeching the Lord in heartfelt prayer, a flicker of prophecy danced upon David's lips. "Something stirs within me. Could it be that this division among the tribes is but a catalyst for your greater purpose? As you have declared, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. With these words softly echoing into the silence, hearts were set ablaze with possibility. But a profound mystery loomed ahead as the people sensed the weight of destiny surrounding them. In this delicate moment of reverence and unity, what deeper truths would God unveil? What sovereign plans were being woven through the trials? For among these echoes of prayer and promise, a divine tapestry of redemption awaited revelation. What awaited them just beyond the horizon was yet unseen, but certain it would be a testament to the one who reigns above all, bringing forth his promise in ways they could scarcely imagine. As dusk settled over Jerusalem, a resolute calm enveloped the anguished city. David, guided by the hand of the Almighty, embraced his sorrow and summoned his beloved people. Rise, O Israel! Join me in remembrance of the Lord's unfailing mercy. For even against the tumult of our trials, we are cradled in the promises of our God. His voice resonated, echoing through the hilltops, igniting within the hearts of his people the flicker of hope that had dimmed in the aftermath of loss. In his grief, David turned to the Lord, seeking the wisdom to lead his people amidst the uncertainty that loomed. O Lord, grant us renewal of spirit and revival of purpose. Amid our mourning, allow us to rise as a beacon of light, a sanctuary reflecting your covenant love. His fervent prayer unfurled like the first light of dawn, piercing through the dark cloud that hung over Jerusalem. As his words echoed through the valley, the people lifted their voices as one. For God, our refuge, shall forever be our stronghold. Even in shadows, we shall fear no evil, for he walks with us. Their collective praise ascended like incense before the Lord, transforming despair into a tapestry of shared faith. In that sacred moment, David felt the Lord's presence wash over him, and he spoke to his people with renewed vigor. Remember the covenant made with our forefathers. Lift your gaze to the heavens and rejoice, for the Lord's promises are eternal, woven into the fabric of time. He shall come to our aid, and through every storm, he will carry us forth. Strengthened by their king's words, the voices of the assembly swelled like a mighty wind. We stand as one. They declared, as they were united not just by blood but by covenant obligation to the Lord. We shall not let the loss of Absalom divide us. Together, we reclaim our identity as children of the living God. But amid their declarations of unity, the whispers of conflict and division lingered still. Malcontents plotted against the throne, drawing discontented hearts toward chaos. Yet David stood firm, proclaiming, Our resolve shall be fortified through the Lord. He shall not abandon his chosen, the gates of hell shall not prevail. Each word resonated like thunder, drenched in divine authority. As the people rallied, a messenger burst forth from the crowd, breathless with a message from the tribes beyond the Jordan. The hearts of your people cry out for you, O King. They seek a leader unstinting in his faith, one who will unite them with courage. A wave of encouragement surged through David as he sensed the zeal igniting within the many. God had not forsaken them. Gather, O beloved tribe of Israel. We shall ride forth together. David commanded, clenching his heart in prayer. May the breath of God infuse our ranks, a determination to stand against the tides of division. He knew the oncoming path would be fraught with challenges, the ache of betrayal weighed heavily. Still, he leaned into the promise of God. Thus, David led his people into the heart of a new covenant, a vibrant echo of hope pulsed through the atmosphere as they approached the sanctuary of the Lord. With every stride, he embodied the heart of a true shepherd, resolute to reclaim what had been fractured. When they reached the sacred ground, David fell upon his knees, surrounded by his people. O Lord, move in our midst. He beseeched, surrendering the weight of leadership at the altar. Let us not be defined by our brokenness but by the breath of resurrection within us. You have the power to unite and bless, let your will be done. With hearts lifted in expectancy, the people joined him in prayer. Together, they cried out, Restore us, O Lord. Heal our wounds and let not division reign among us. We shall remember the promise, for we are called to greater things. The sound swelled like waves crashing against the shore, surging with every heartfelt prayer. In that sacred moment, the Spirit of the Lord swept through the assembly like a gale, wrapping them in divine assurance, and they sensed God's response to their collective cry. Indeed, He shall establish the work of your hands. Fear not, for I am with you, I shall send forth my Spirit and fill your hearts with unity. The voice of the Lord resonated in their souls. Thus, as dusk surrendered to night, and darkness blanketed the land, David rose from his knees, emboldened by faith. Now is the time to rise as warriors in faith, unyielding to fear, steadfast in His promise. We shall march forward into the dawn of a new day, united as one people. As they clasped their hands together and bore their collective burdens, the shadow of doubt began to dissipate like fog before the morning sun. In their fellowship and shared struggle, they found divine kinship, held together by God's unbreakable chains of love. And on that hallowed ground, the collective spirit of Israel ignited anew. They vowed to stand united in faith, forging ahead into the unknown future with hope in their hearts. For we are a chosen people. They declared, emboldened and aware of the weight of their promise, the lineage of David and the covenant of God that would endure forevermore. In their hearts, they cherished the sacred assurance that God was weaving their stories together into a magnificent tapestry, where faith would reign, love would conquer, and through every trial, His glory would be revealed. This chapter now closed, yet the echo of their journey lingered, a vibrant testament to God's hand at work. They took heart, immersing themselves in the enduring truth that even in sorrow, the redemptive plan of God was unfolding just beyond the horizon. As we reflect on the steadfastness of David and the people of Israel, consider how God's sovereign plan is ever in motion, even amidst our trials. Let their resolve embolden you to pursue God in unwavering faith as you face your battles. Now, I urge you, do not let this moment slip by. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next powerful biblical stories that inspire hope and divine promise. Leave a like now to help spread God's word through the algorithm, allowing others to find His truth and experience the same transformative journeys. Comment below with your spiritual reflections and how this biblical story impacted your faith. We are eager to hear how these narratives resonate with your walk with Christ. And finally, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear of God's unfathomable love and truth. This is the moment to help spread biblical truth, empowering others to embrace the light that breaks through the darkest nights. Don't wait even one more second, reach out, for God's message of hope is waiting to encourage hearts.